Welcome back to the Transforming Basketball podcast. Delighted to have our first guest from South America, Martin Andrade, joining us from Montevideo in Uruguay. Now, Martin is one of my favorite follows on social media, and normally I get extremely frustrated scrolling through Instagram, Twitter, and seeing some of the things that emerge on my feed. But every time I see one of Martin's posts, I love it. I've taken so many things. So, Martin, thanks so much for coming on.
Man, it's been a pleasure to be here on your new project. Yeah, I'm following you for years and I love your work and I love to hear, man.
Oh,
Thanks.
much appreciated. Of course. And just in our last conversation we had, when we were just talking about skill acquisition and all these things, it's amazing to me just seeing how, coaches are doing such an amazing job applying these ideas all over the world. And you're just a great example of that. So I think a good starting point, Martin, is just how you came across the CLA, because you read a lot, you've studied a lot, and I think this is a great story for coaches to hear.
Wow. Honestly, man, I don't remember well how I found the CLA. But I think, yeah, for sure, you was big influence on this. Um, and then my friend Coleman Ayers, he was another guy that like put that in my mind. And once I started learning about CLA and ecological dynamics, it changed everything, bro. Everything, like how I see the practice, how I see the player development, how I design the practice. I really like it because I can express my creativity as a coach, to now be more like an architecture of the design of the environment through the manipulation of constraints, and to help the player to be in a more in-depth relationship with environment, and yeah, and help them find better solutions to what they're going to see during the game. So I really like that as a coach, that part of being creative, not just, okay, we're going to train this move. What is the creative part of that? If we just train on air and repeat movements, I like the challenge, that when you see, I don't know, some tendencies from a player and how I can, get him better through the manipulation, of the constraints, and how you create environment to help them, develop these functional movement solutions. So I really like that. And every day it's every day I learn something new in the practices. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what comes across just watching. If coaches just spend a few minutes on your Instagram, it's only about b-ball. And I think what strikes me immediately is how creative you are with the task design. Like, just give you one example, a really simple one, which I use from you like all the time now with the under 14s and the under 12s at London Lions, a 2-against-1 with both offensive players having a ball and one defender. And the constraints, maybe you have 2 seconds from the moment you start outside the 3 to score in the smile, a gold medal, always coming from a different location. I took that from you, and it's like, it's so creative. Just having 2 balls at the same time and one defender. It's so simple, yet it is so good, Yeah. And that's what I love, just watching your thought process behind how you go about doing this. So maybe this is a hard question, Martin, but how do you go about designing these activities and these constraints? Because it's hard for a lot of coaches and they kind of rely on the same small-sided games. But what you're doing is you're always changing them.
Yeah, it's a good question. Okay, I reflect a lot on practices. I get inspiration from coaches, from like reading books, watching videos, watching other sports, um, trying to get more in touch with other stuff, not just basketball. And I think that influenced me on my thought process. And then how I come up with that ideas. My brain, bro. it's it's just like how I think. I don't know.
It's the ecological lens.
That
You're just
ideas,
thinking the
yeah.
whole time, right?
I I I watch videos, I listen to, I don't know, episodes like this. I'm trying to learn, and then with all that knowledge, like my brain, like start figuring out things, with all that information. And I come out with ideas during like every day, during the day, when I'm most of the time when I'm relaxed, when I'm not like doing work, when I'm not stressed. And when I have a good idea about, practice something, I write it down. Okay, I'm gonna try this, and try to then like design the practice, or expose the player to that. um, and yeah, I go to the practice. Um, I see, obviously, I get ideas from the players that I'm working with, what they need to improve. So first, I have a roadmap with that. Uh, what they need to improve. Okay, this. So I watch them playing, and then my head start, just with that question, like what they need, how I can improve this. They need to improve on finishing, like they need to improve on the relationship, finishing with the defender on the hip, or managing pressure. How I can come up with ideas. So I just ask questions and let my brain just come up with ideas. I like to obviously uh, write it down at the time, but then like during the day, I had ideas and I just put it on paper. And then go to the gym and try it out with the players. Try to be open-minded every time, and yeah, just not be fixed with anything. Try to uh, try new stuff, try new things, and yeah, challenge myself as a coach and challenge the player. It's for me, once I learn about ecological dynamics, it's every day it's a try and error. uh, I try a lot of things, see how the players respond to that, and with the knowledge that I have right now, I just analyze that. Okay, this is good. This is maybe this constraint, or the design of this is not that good. How can I improve this? Maybe I have to make it easier. So I just make it easier. And yeah, I try to be creative as a coach to get the players motivated to train, to come and see, okay, what are we gonna do today? So
I
what is
love
the challenge for?
I love a lot of the things you said in there, Martin. I think firstly, we've spoken about it, how our best ideas come when we're relaxed. And that's why it's so difficult to use this approach when you're in an environment where you're just work, 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 work. And that's so much of professional basketball, but it's so conducive to actually allowing the coaches to be creative. And then I think the second thing is, like you said, you're always experimenting. And I've actually
Always.
always, right? And what I've been doing here in London just since starting is I've been using the CLA for coach development. So I'm looking at it from how, obviously, we all know like now what it means on the court, but how can we actually use this in other areas of the organization? So I've been kind of manipulating constraints with coaches, and just something we did today in our practice was we had we had about 20 players in the gym, all different age groups and abilities from under 12 to under 16. Why? It makes our coaches more adaptable. And, we're all in different groups. Each coach had anywhere from like 2 to 4 players, and they had 3 minutes with each group before they rotated, and they could never do the same activity twice. And we did about 10 rotations, and just something simple like that, it forces you to think differently. And like you said, try something new.
Yeah. Exactly. And I force myself every practice to come up with new ideas. So
you got to do it.
Yeah. I get used to that. Yeah, I don't know if it's just about my personality and about myself. Just I want to keep pushing myself, getting better, understand more about this. Yeah, and help the players too with this. Exactly.
So let's get to shooting, Martin, because this is an area we spoke a lot about just when we caught up last time, and I really like what you're doing in this space. So what have you found just, using an ecological approach? It's obviously such a big difference to traditional shooting. And I think that's kind of, you noticed it because as a player, I know you went through that traditional approach and you really struggled with that, right?
Yeah, I struggled a lot. When I was a kid, I remember when I was 16 years old, I started changing my shot because my coach, he saw potential in me, but my mechanics were kind of like, how to say, like fluffy.
Sure.
So orthodox.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying me, you have to improve your mechanics to have a better chance to make it to the league, because you're good. So we started to practice that, and we did it in a conventional or traditional way, with all the famous 90-degree elbow. You have to watch the rim under the basket. At that time, like doing that, it was tough for me because I'm small. I'm 1 meter and 70 centimeters. I don't know how to say
in feet. Yeah.
No, but I'm small. And at that time I was weak. So my coach started to putting me more like a 2-motion shot. My body couldn't adapt to that. So I remember that time, that year was super difficult to me to shoot from 3. So my confidence went really low. I didn't see the rim at all during the game because I knew that I was frustrated, So yeah, I remember I started working more and more and more, and go and shoot and shoot and shoot. And my shot was that year was just transforming a lot. I was adapting a lot of stuff. I was super conscious about everything, about all the details. And when I think it was a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, I went to the gym during that year. I get stronger. My shot was muting, and I could shoot with less effort. But incredibly, my shot got better when the next year I moved to USA, to the States. I studied there 1 year, and I bought a rim and I put it like on the background. How you say, like the back of the house.
Yep.
Started shooting a lot, but just put music and go like. And I was doing a lot of variable training there, a lot, because I was shooting like every time different. I didn't know that. And that year, my shot got better. Comparing that with the year before, when I started doing like everything with this methodological approach, with this traditional approach. But I think, my coach, I really like him, but he forced me into a type of shot that wasn't built for me.
Exactly.
My body, my individual constraints were not adapted to that. I was small. I had short arms, short leverage. So shooting into motion for me was not good.
Such a good example, Martin. Like, and this is what we're seeing where, what could be maybe one good movement solution for one player, just because they're effective with it, it doesn't mean it's going to be functional for another player, right? Our anatomy and our individual constraints, like you said, they're completely different. So let's talk about what you do now shooting wise, because you're a big fan, I know, of differential learning as well, like me, and you mix that with the CLA. So maybe could you just talk about how you maybe some practice tasks that you're doing in both the differential learning and the CLA?
For sure. For example, right now I'm just remember I'm working with a guy with a kid. He's 15 years old. I think he needs to improve, for example, the speed of the lift of the ball. So I try to force him to speed it up.
Yep.
So I didn't say to him lift faster or shoot it faster. I tried to put constraints. So for example, some stuff that we were doing these days was to, for example, one, shoot without jumping, to force him to create more velocity with the upper body, shoot in one leg, so you have less power generation from your legs, so your body has to adapt to that. If you shoot from 3 on one leg, how you create force, moment, how you create force to push the ball. So the body has to adapt to that and has to create velocity, moving the ball faster. For example, another crazy thing that we were doing at the beginning of the practice was to I wanted to like him to feel the impulse that you create when you lift the ball. So I just sit him on the floor, grabbing the ball, and he has to lift his butt, moving the ball fast. So he has to create impulse, and just learn the feeling of, create that upward, energy. So, okay, with that feeling, try to now put it on the shot, shoot with that, like with that feeling. I'm playing with all these constraints, shooting without jumping, shooting in one leg, shooting farther. So I want to expose him, his body, his mind to lift the ball at different velocity. So
I love that last example, shooting further instead of shooting closer. Like it's actually, most coaches will start with players closer, but when like you spoke about, how do we force this adaptation? Well, it's not going to happen shooting at those distances to the basket.
No, because the body is gonna slow down, the lift and the speed you put on the ball. So yeah, we were playing with that, with all that shooting from different positions, different distances, and contrasting that with a normal shot. Okay, how do you feel? Okay, take 10 shots in one leg. Take 10 shots without jumping. Take 10 shots normal shot from three. So I like to expose his body, his mind to all this movement information.
I love it. What about Martin? So that's an awesome example of kind of a mix between differential learning and some constraint-led approach ideas. I've been actually mixing here and there because I think you can blur the line sometimes. Like, for instance, you could say, all right, shoot off one leg, always changing location, which is a DL task. But then you could also, manipulate. You could add a defender to that and come from different places, and there's so much you can do, right?
And exactly. I put pressure on you with defense, something chasing you, and you cannot fake the shot, so you are forced to speed it up, to pick the ball faster.
What are some of your favorite small-sided games when it comes to shooting? Like, because you've got a lot of creative one-on-one plus one. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe you could just share a few, Martin.
Yeah. Oof. Man, I'm doing new variations every day. I'm trying to not do the same. I'm even in the small sided game, the players are gonna find different reps. They're gonna rep without rep. But I like to just change the game, so to get the player exposed to another type of game and not get monotonous on the training. So okay, yesterday we did one. I really like it. Where two players were outside the 3-point line. They were facing each other. So they were like passing the ball like a hot potato.
Yep.
And when I say go, the player has to shoot. The other player has to reach, has to play defense. So the players during the reps, they didn't know which is the role they're gonna have during the rep, So you create that.
It's unpredictable.
It's unpredictable, exactly. So you have to adapt to that faster, I really like that.
I love that because so much of the shooting is you always know who the shooter is, and just doing that is not realistic because in the game, within the environment, you never know when you're going to shoot.
Exactly, you never know. I like that. We did that. We did from the dribble, like something like a chase. I like to expose the player when I create drills. I like to think on like geometry, planes of motion, and expose the player to all degrees of movement. For example, and different speeds. For example, I can do a chase drill, a chase game, and I can change the plane of motion where you are moving. Like you're moving like on a straight line. Maybe it's easier. If I get you rotating, you have to rotate before the shot, get balance from that. Like see, relocate. The eyes, fix the eyes to the rim faster. And then shoot. It's difficult. I like to mix, and think on this. My mind works like that.
Oh,
I think on and try to expose the players, to all this type of movement variability.
Great stuff. So, Martin, let's go. So you're working with a whole kind of mix of players, from professionals in Uruguay to youth players. I'd love to maybe, this is putting you on the spot a little bit, but talking about maybe one of your practices and your small group sessions from like the moment the players arrive and like the first warm-up task to when they're finishing. Could you maybe talk us through what a practice with you looks like?
Exactly. Yeah. We start. I like to start the practices. I vary a lot, but I like to start the practice engaging the players with each other. Like to start the practice with games, just to move them, to get warmed up, and challenge their brain, their coordination, their movement. I like to do. I use the warm up to try the weirdest stuff. Say that. Yeah, I like that.
Like different movements,
different movements. Try different sports. Use different objects. Relate with different objects. It can be like a soccer ball. It can be a football. It can be a mat ball. It can be a stick.
And they just have to interact with it differently, yeah.
To interact with it. Okay. For example, something that I do is, okay, this week, I don't know, we're gonna do this stick. How many things we can do with this? Okay, so
it's a great warm-up. It's the best warm-up versus these stretches. Yeah.
Exactly. So how many things we can do with this? So we play, I don't know, games of I don't know, like tag, plays of like reaction, like with the stick, like drop the stick and grab it. I don't know, like
that's great.
Grab and pull, for example, if you want to create some, I don't know, chaos and perturbation and some tension in the body. And so yeah, we pick an object, for example, and try to improve the relationship with it in different ways.
Yeah.
So we create a lot of games. Like for me, like everything can be a warm-up.
It really can. Any object you see in the DIY store, yeah.
Warm-up,
yeah.
Just be creative. Okay, how we can use this, like challenge your mind, elevate your temperature, get you warmed up, make you challenge yourself at the beginning, or just have some fun.
Martin, while you had the bottle up, just so the coaches listening to this, not watching on YouTube, it made me laugh because you were talking about experiment, and you were referencing the bottle. And I did a college prep. A lot of the times I gave the players the obstacles or the objects, and I let them design it. And one time they came up with spin the bottle, right? Like amazing game. And then whoever it landed on had to escape, and the other guy had to tag them or pass the ball and try to hit them with the ball. And it was, it was amazing. It was really funny. Yeah.
It's crazy because if you give the players that autonomy to curate, and design their own games, you don't know, like your mind can't come up with all the ideas. You have to,
see what they can do, right?
Yeah. Exactly. See what they can do. So if they, understand the what is the line of work, what are we doing? I let them. Okay, we did, for example, I don't know, 2-3 variations at the beginning, and then the last one, I asked them, okay, now it's your time, like create a new variation. So I let them, I give them the space to, like think, let their brain thinking, how we can create a new variation.
It's great stuff.
So we see, you see really good responses from them. Sometimes you're shocked, you're shocked. Oh, that was amazing,
That's so true. And that's the biggest thing I've seen with those warm-ups, just like how it unlocks the players. when they like you meant, co-design, involving them in it, like you just mentioned, and then just seeing how they think, how they interact, and then just seeing from a basketball perspective when they're warming up like that, and during the course of a season when they're moving in all these different ways. Of course, it's going to transfer to being more skillful when we're getting to the small-sided games and all that. So you finish your warm-up, Martin, then you're straight into any type of activity, small-sided game, whatever your focus is that day.
Exactly. Yeah, we finish the warm-up and then we go to the idea, the idea that we're gonna train that day, depending on every time, depending on the athlete that I'm having in front, because I train with a lot of different groups, and the groups are constantly changing. So and that's tough for me because I'm not having all the same players during I don't know, a long period of time. The athletes are coming in, and for example for 1-2 months, maybe they leave, come, I don't know, in the next 2 months, and every time I have new faces. So the levels, or I mean, the players are different, so their needs also are different. So depending on the group, I set a goal. I mean, something to work on. I don't know, maybe it's we are gonna spend more time this practice on finishing, or maybe shooting, or maybe we mix it. We do, I don't know, half and half, because I know players in the same group need to improve. One player needs to improve more in shooting, but one player needs to improve more in finishing. So I like to mix it up and just let them have time to train, and improve that area, specific area. And we started with, generally, I like to vary also, with one-on-one, with the less representative task, and then we add players, 1-on-2, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. But maybe we start with 3-on-3.
Exactly.
One day we start with a 3-on-3. We start with a 3-on-3. I don't know. Without dribbling, play a game without dribbling. So I don't know. You can use that as a warm up if you want to. And you can put, if you are working in a specific principle or pattern, you can just put a constraint, or like, okay, do you guys remember what we worked the last week? Okay, we're gonna start working with that. Okay, 3-on-3 without dribbling. So we maybe some days start with a more more like how to say, group, drills or games. But I have days that we start more in a one-on-one, or scale to
non-linear.
Exactly. It's non-linear. My practice are non-linear. And I like to, this last month I was thinking on how I can, during the practice, let the players shoot more. So I during the practice I like to give the players like small blocks of just shooting, to get more volume, but align with the principles of the CLA and ecological dynamics. So because I don't want them to just get all the reps with defense, because the volume of your shooting,
completely,
it's not if you just shoot on air, but because I think something players need to improve it's just precision, accuracy. and
Completely.
you get that coordination, with reps. So I like to just mix it up and play drills with defense, and then immediately after that, give them, okay, you have now the 10-minute block of shooting, and everyone has their own challenge. For example, one challenge that we were setting this month was reach a number of made threes. For example, I don't know, 8 threes without missing two, and you have to vary every shot the position. So we train with variability and just
That's it.
catch and shoot. That's it. And you put the mind, the focus on, okay, if you
Exactly.
miss two, you're out. You switch. And you let the player, have more volume shooting with variability.
It's the easiest way to do it. And I think you have to do that because, like you said, like if you're only doing true CLA, it's not enough. It's not enough repetition without repetition, and it might not be enough to really get a shooter to adapt. Whereas that's where if you're just doing something like that, Martin, I just consider that differential learning. Just it's variable, right? And you can still get shooting challenges within that, but if they're just slightly changing, even if it's just one step every shot, that's all you need.
Exactly. And yes, I like to give them that space to get more reps with variability. And from that, for example, from that small blocks, I just switch small stuff. For example, if I want to get it, want to make it more difficult, I can say to them, okay, reach the same amount of shots, but now, like, in every shot you have to change. Okay, if it can be a catch and shoot or just one dribble, 3-point shoot. So now you mix. You can catch and shoot, or you can, for example, visualize, I don't know, fake one dribble and take a shot. So you're mixing with the dribbling. Exactly. Or for example, the group of pros that I'm training right now. I have one player that he's a sniper, and for example, I say to him, okay, now you have to make 10 without missing two, but you have to change speeds during the around the perimeter.
Yep.
You're moving, and when you change the speed from whatever you want to go, you have to receive and shoot from that. So we just make it difficult because you're moving faster with momentum. You have to, have balance. Receiving the ball, going to the right, going to the left.
It's not easy to add. It's not difficult to add variability. And this is what we're getting at here. It's just thinking, all right, what can we do here to change it? And it makes just such a huge difference from a skill acquisition standpoint. It's crazy. So, Martin, I want to say thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I love it was like an informal chat. It was like, when we'd catch up without even being on a Zoom and a podcast. And I think those are the best ones where coaches can just get more practical ideas for what this looks like in a practice. What's the best way for coaches to follow your work, Martin? Would it be your Instagram account?
It can be my Instagram, only about b-ball. I put my work there. Main of the work. Yeah. I share all my ideas.
And sorry, Martin, I'll edit that bit out. But I would really recommend that coaches go follow you on that account, and maybe they could ask you a question about what they listened to on the podcast today, if that's cool. And
for sure, yeah, I love to receive questions and talk about this, because I think as coaches, like we said after this conversation, we have to push, help each other, be more like a community, and because we are trying to push the development of basketball in the same way, we are trying to do that. So it's cool to be more in a group, more like a community, and help each other.
And that's exactly what we're going for. And I think, with so many more trainers and coaches now using ecological approach, it's you know, we're united as a community, and there's space for all of us. I think when we view the world from this perspective, naturally we're way more cooperative anyway, I think, just because of the perspective we're viewing life from. And yeah, that's what, you know, we need more of, and more, you know, communities of coaches and, you know, who really believe in contemporary skill acquisition. So Martin, thanks so much for coming on, man.
It's a pleasure. Like I said at the beginning, it was a pleasure, and I love your work, man.
Much appreciated.